Hello, everyone, to the podcast, The Carbon Circle. Today, with us, we have Dr. Samir Joshi, a very knowledgeable, experienced veteran, industrial professional who's going to talk today to us on plastic problems. So, the topic that we're chosen for today is plastic problem to circular opportunity, a deep dive with Dr. Samir Joshi. We'll look at how India's plastic veteran and global treaty negotiator is reshaping waste policy and business models for a circular Bharat by 2047. So India is one of the world's top plastic producers, generating roughly 26,000 tons of plastic waste every day. Yet alarmingly, about only 8% of the waste is recycled. Imagine what would change if that recycling rate could be dramatically increased. Today's guest is Dr. Sami Joshi, the chairman of Indian Plastic Institute and a global leader on plastic sustainability. He has spent 30 years in the plastic industry, from running a manufacturing plant to negotiating a UN plastics treaty, all driven by one belief: plastics are a powerful material that must be managed responsibly. Dr. Joshi even holds a Guinness World Record for the largest t shirt made from recycled bottles, proving that 10 discarded 1 liter bottles can be turned into a child's shirt. His work spans representing India at UN talks to advising startups on recycling. Dr. Joshi, welcome to the Carbon Circle.
Namaskar. It's great to speak to you this morning, Roshan. And you began with saying plastic problem. It's not a problem. It's a fact that we have to accept and find the solution to, I like to quote, find the solution to plastic pollution.
Absolutely, absolutely. It is more about managing. I think you'll have much more to share in that direction. So, to our viewers and listeners, I'll quickly give a brief of what are the topics that we're going to cover today. So, we'll look at Dr. Joshi's journey from Pune shop floor to global plastics treaty tables. The second topic that we'll cover is industry perspective, that is problems versus solutions. Rightly, as Dr. Joshi just now mentioned, that is how are we to view plastics not as a problem but rather try finding solutions to it. The third topic today we'll cover is inside UN Global Plastics Treaty, what it means for Indian businesses. And the last topic for today is circular plastics in Bharat. We'll look at the journey moving towards 2047, policy, capital, and business models for 2047. So it is going to be a very interesting conversation given that Dr. Joshi has decades of experience in this very field. So, Dr. Joshi, let's begin with the first question for today. You have worn many hats: industry veteran, UN negotiator, circular economy advocate. Can you start by sharing what inspired your journey from running a plastic injection molding plant in Pune to becoming a leader in global plastics policy and sustainability?
Roshan, it all began in 1986 when
Mm-hmm.
I passed my 12th standard. My father is an industrialist, and we were we were in metal business. We make refrigerator boxes in the ice boxes in the refrigerator. They were called the direct cool refrigerators before the frosty refrigerators. And
Mm-hmm.
when I passed, he said, "Why don't you go into something new?" That time, he was member of an organization called American Society of Metals. Way back
Mm-hmm.
in 1986 or 87, the metals became materials, where in the though that era, metals were being replaced by material plastics and newer materials like ceramics and composites. And he said, "Why we have been in the metal business? So why don't you learn something new?" And that's where my college, Maharashtra Institute of Technology and Engineering College, which was the among the first private colleges in that time, introduced a degree called polymer engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And I am from the fourth batch of polymer engineering, passed, rather graduated in 1990.
Uh-huh.
Then I joined my father's business, where, as I mentioned, we were in metal making the refrigerator direct cool icebox. And
Mm-hmm.
during the time of 1990s, in the era of 1990s, the refrigerator companies, we were supplying to all the refrigerator companies, and they venture into washing machines.
Right.
Since we were already a member of, sorry, we were already in the field of metals and being a vendor, they said, why don't you supply plastic components since your son has now graduated in this?
Mm-hmm.
So I went to US for a year, learned something, came back, and that's where we started the polymer division of my father's company, where we started manufacturing plastic components for a refrigerator, washing machines, mainly the white goods sectors. And that's where my journey into plastics began. I will tell you what is the difference between plastics and polymers for a common man to know that. And during that time, my father encouraged me to become a member of two organizations. One was the Society of Plastic Engineers USA, and
Mm-hmm.
that time the fee was $100 in
Okay.
the 1990. So
Oh.
my father paid that $100, and till today I'm a member of that organization. And another organization called Indian Plastics Institute, which is my association, which had a Pune chapter. So, Indian
Mm-hmm.
Plastics Institute is the backbone of technical education in India. They are a 40-year-old organization located in 15 towns and cities of this country, having two international affiliations and doing work mainly in the technical part of plastics. As I mentioned earlier, the era of 80s and 90s saw the advent of plastics in the world of metals. The
Right.
plastic bags become started becoming popular, and plastic industry started evolving. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where my journey began, and I got involved in the associations, and then slowly graduated. And that journey, even till today, is learning, unlearning, and relearning.
That never stops.
That never stops. And from that level, from my company, which also today, still today, I am in the plastic injection molding, even
Mm-hmm.
as we speak. We have diversified into other projects, and I became involved in plastics. And coming fast forward from the 80s to the 20 the era of 20 to the 2000. So in
Mm-hmm.
2016, what came was known as the Plastic Waste Management Rules 2015. And I work for an organization called Trust India Foundation, which is the apex body of all plastic associations in the world, in India, sorry. And
Mm-hmm.
my organization, Indian Plastic Institute, deputed me as a representative to work on that organization. So when in the 2016 the plastic waste management rules came for the first time, our organization was involved in the nitty gritty. And also that time during the rains in Mithi River in Mumbai,
Mm-hmm.
my organization was called to explain there is so much of plastics. So I
Right.
happened to be in my organization's office, and I went there, and that's how my journey in the plastic association and waste management started during that time.
Dr. Joshi, thank you for that introduction that you just provided me with how your journey started in the 1990s and leading up to until now. So you have seen decades in this very industry, but also the point that you made, the difference between a polymer and a plastic. So I understand that plastic is a polymer, but can you throw some more light into what polymers are and what plastics are?
Yes, I would like to go back into history in the eras of 1990,
Mm-hmm.
1992, 93. A famous scientist of India, Dr. Vasant Gowarikar, wrote a book. And the introduction to the book was in the opening paras. He mentioned how you and me are a part of an ecosystem where we are a polymer. Since the
Mm-hmm.
formation of Earth millions and millions of years ago, elements like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen have been moving around, and they combine to form molecules or structures, and they combine carbon, hydrogen, oxygen combine to form what is called as a protein.
Right.
And that is the basis of a human being, and that is a polymer.
Yep.
So polymer as they exist are a combination of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and the polymer chain. And after that, we gave rise to many materials like paints, plastics, rubbers, ceramics. So all this comes under a category of materials, and excluding ceramics, the generic name is polymers. So
Right.
plastics are the basis of polymers. Plastic is a polymer, but not all polymers are
All
plastics.
plastics.
And if I can remind you, the plastics have been accidentally invented. Madame Curie invented plastics accidentally, and the last plastic ever invented was in the 1975 or so, polyethylene. So on
Hmm.
one side, we are saying that plastics have been there for a long time, but the last plastics has been invented only over 50 years ago.
Right. It is comparatively new in the
And
scheme
some
of
more
things.
interesting thing as it comes to my mind, you have heard of the word nylon, which
Yeah.
we use quite common. So do you know how that word nylon came?
Uh-huh. Enlighten me.
Huh?
Enlighten me.
Sorry. No, no, no. Nylon is a
Uh-huh.
polymer.
Right.
So work was going on in New York and London.
Oh,
So NY of New York and the LON of London is nylon.
nylon. Very interesting. Very interesting. It is more likely named after two cities.
Yes.
Very, very
So
fascinating. Very fascinating.
scientific scientists came across this material, and the use of plastics has been in olden times since the world wars.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we talk of environment wars today, but with the same plastics were used in the wars. And I'll tell you a fascinating story of the history of plastics in India. There is a
Hmm.
company named by Swastik Plastics in Pune,
Uh-huh.
as old as 1919. And they
Hmm.
made the first bangles out of plastics that time.
Oh,
So
1919.
imagine the first bangles in the
Plastic
era,
bangles.
yes, 1990.
Very interesting. So, very, very, very clearly, plastics are comparatively a new invention that happened, very recent, but that has also clearly given a lot of boost to the modern day industrial era as we know it. Uh, the comforts, the luxuries that we today see, plastics also have played a very vital role in the same. But one of the problem that we also face is the management of plastic. But before we get into that, Dr. Joshi, you have been in the plastic sector since 1990s, producing components for major automakers. What motivated you to pivot from focusing purely on manufacturing to engaging so deeply with plastic waste management and sustainability? And how has your engineering background influenced your approach to these global issues?
So I would like to tell you again back in history when in I said the plastic industry was just developing in the eras of 80s and 90s, where plastics were just coming there, and the granules, as we know, in the only Indian company that time was Indian Petrochemicals Limited, where we had
Right.
making plastic materials, and I was
Mm-hmm.
shaping that into different products.
Mm-hmm.
And in those times, there were limited resources, limited money, limited opportunities, limited finances, limited applications. And that was the time when people started converting many metal applications to plastics.
Right.
As also the time when, you mentioned about recycling. You said we'll talk about it later, but it is related to that time. Since when I mentioned the resources were limited, the materials were limited.
Right.
At that time, lot of imports were happening, and the plastic materials were being changed after they're used to granules. I'll again take you much longer old history. You have heard
Hmm.
of Goregaon, Mumbai Film City, and
Right.
where the cinema has been made since times before
Hmm.
independence, and it's the eras of the 1930s and 40s, where
Hmm.
the cinematographic film, as we see,
Hmm.
they were imported for the from United Kingdom.
Oh.
And after the many movies, the at the end of the popularity, all those reels were got to Goregaon in Mumbai, in that area. And
Hmm.
near Goregaon is a area called Malad, where
Hmm.
there is a theater called as the Bombay Talkies. Bombay and talkages in Hindi or Marathi,
The theater.
it's theater.
Yeah.
So that became an industrial area. Bombay talkies area is to be called, and the films were bought there, and it's beyond our imagination that those films were of such a high quality that they were recycled into spectacle frames. I'm talking of
Mm.
the era of 1940s. So the plastic recycling industry is older than the plastic
Industry itself.
industry itself. Then I talked to you about this even somebody making bangles. So
Mm.
that's where the growth of polymers started. And I also like to quote this often. General Electric as a company, we know it's a big name,
Yeah.
and
The
they made during that time anything from a diaper to a rocket.
right.
The diaper was made of plastic, and the plastics were also used for the rocket.
Right.
And from the automobiles, plastics, we see how plastics are making the cars lighter and making it fuel efficient.
Hmm.
And recycling started when there was, you know, the uncertainty of times, there were material shortages. That's why, and that time the material was good, and that used to be recycled. And I remember that the first such recycling industry in Pune was in 1973.
1973.
Yes,
Wow.
making granules. So recycling. And then over time, as I mentioned, I got involved in the plastic association work. And when the laws started coming for plastic waste management in 2016, this became more of a passion, and I started representing my association on technical bodies and government representations, and that's where this journey began and continued. And in the 2017, I ended up doing my PhD in
PhD.
plastic waste management.
Yeah, that is exactly where I was just coming to because I mean the topic that is chosen for your PhD. At what point did waste shift in your mind from being just a cost center to something that you want to dedicate a PhD and your career to? That was my follow-up question to that.
So, again, going back a year behind 2016, as I mentioned, the Mumbai Mithi Nadi was getting clogged with plastics, where the government, rather the Mumbai Municipal Corporation, approached our association. What can you do? So I started searching. And,
Mm-hmm.
after that, as I said, the new rules came for plastic waste management. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where my association said that you have to do something. We have to reply because we are the ones responsible. And
Right.
then during that time, during 1 year, I traveled almost 25 to 30 cities in Gujarat, Maharashtra, and learned about the plastic waste management system there. And
Mm-hmm.
eventually that journey became pan India, and I in the next 2 years, I traveled pan India, covering the length and breadth of this country, understanding plastic waste management and noting down the observations and the findings. And that led me to why not document it? You have done so much work. So I thought of even in being an engineer, I thought of doing a management PhD because the problem or the issue of waste management is not and only an engineering one. You know why I'm putting my fingers again? No, this is it's the role of my PhD thesis was the role of stakeholders in plastic waste management.
Right.
In the whole ecosystem, there are the manufacturers, there is the government, there is the consumer, there is the recycler, there is the uh, waste picker, and each one looks at his problem and the NGOs, and each one looks at the problem through his or her own
On
eyes
lens. Yeah,
and blame. One point finger pointing at you, four pointing at me back.
absolutely.
And over the years, and that my PhD thesis and my research concluded that unless all these various stakeholders come together, the problem is not going to be solved.
Absolutely. I
So
mean, even I believe that because plastic is not a problem of one entity; it is more of a systems problem, right? And as you rightly mentioned, it is multiple stakeholders coming together if a solution were to be provided. And very interesting to learn that you have taken up your PhD journey towards a later. I mean, you still have a long career ahead of you.
that is history. You know, I'll tell you how history. So my father did his PhD at his age of 48, and after 20 years of doing his engineering, and I
Right.
was sure that I will never do a PhD. But look at history.
Yeah, it repeats.
Yeah, uh, at my age of 48, the fascinating world made me to do my PhD, and the inferences of my PhD were problems rather than solutions, and that gave rise to new
New
issues.
research.
And some 4 or 5 PhDs have been done after that. I've been a mentor, a guide for those PhDs and MSc students, and we are
Very
still
interesting.
finding the solution.
Perhaps you're an inspiration to lot many once this podcast is going to be out. Listening into this, it gives more reasons for people to continue their learning journey because, as you rightly said, the learning never stops at whatever age or point in your career you may be. But that curiosity perhaps leads you to places like this where you start pursuing a PhD in your late 40s as well. So that's really inspiring, Dr. Joshi.
And I'd like to tell you the fun in the journey. I went the entire length and breadth of this country. So in Goa, everyone is a favorite state. The municipal
Uh-huh.
commissioner, we worked with him, and he said, Samir, people come here, and when those rules were announced, Goa did a wonderful work in this, and the Panji municipal commissioner then, Mr. Sanjeet Rodriguez, he said,
Hmm.
Samir, many people come here for tourism. You are the only one who he coined a new word. You come here for garbage tourism. So you know how they come, they see and they go away. But you are instead of seeing the beaches and that, you are seeing the
That is
go
the plastics.
yeah, and then the garbage of yeah. So this is something new, and you are a garbage hero.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that I think that's a good segue to the next question there. So in your career, Dr. Joshi, you have also advised government bodies. You just mentioned Goa, and been on national committees for waste management. Can you tell us about one challenge or insights from these policy rules that most changed about how you think about plastics in our economy?
Again, going back to history, when 2016 the rules came, there was a lot of turmoil and what do you say, churning of the industry,
Yeah.
and there were a lot of plastic bans.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2018, the Maharashtra government put a total ban on lot of plastic
Single-use
items.
plastics.
No, 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 that was later.
Mm-hmm.
Lot of ban on other items of plastics also.
Okay.
The rules in a country like India, the rules are framed by the center, then the state, then the corporation, and there is a lot of maze of rules, and people get confused. But Maharashtra did a wonderful work that time, and put stricter laws into place, and that time lot was banned. Even plastic 1 liter bottles were banned.
Okay.
Then, of course, the single-use plastics was banned. And that time, the government set up an expert committee that they were aware that you cannot just ban anything. And
Mm-hmm.
that was the time when the plastic industry started responding. First was the part that we never were ready to accept our blame that we are the culprits or whatever with that. And that was at the time when there were some cases filed in the courts, but that it happened that no court of Mumbai, that was a historic decision, they ruled in favor of plastics. They said plastics is a problem and you have to manage it yourselves. That's where the plastic industry learn to first to accept my learn, unlearn that this is our, because we are the plastic industry and we have
Mm-hmm.
to learn to accept the fact that we are creating pollution. And so Maharashtra government set up an expert technical committee where it was a balanced way to find out solution to remove some of the products from the plastic ban. And the
Mm-hmm.
1 liter bottle, they said, we are banning everything. So the industry came together. They said, you show us action where you will collect the plastic bags. So that was the time when the water bottle industry or the soft drink industry, they said we will collect our plastic bag, and that is called EPR, extended producer responsibility. The rules there. So as a producer, suppose you are putting 100 bottles of water in the market for a month, it is your duty to collect those 100 bottles back,
Right.
brand neutral.
Mm-hmm.
That is called extended producer's responsibility. So when from 16 to 18, the people were not serious, the industry was not serious, the Maharashtra government put into action that is, you show us the action. So that's where the industry started seeing its responsibility, and then the government of Maharashtra removed that ban and made it for 200 ml and less. So now
Mm.
we don't see the bottles of water less than 200 ml.
200 ml. Hmm.
And same for the single-use plastics, where thermocol was banned, and then the plastic bags were banned because the dichotomy is banning is not the solution. The plastic bans, we start using the thick plastic bags, but they are conserving more resources and they're more burden on the environment. So that was when the balance of government and industry came, and I was part of that. Later on, to cut a long story short, every year on 5th of Jan,
Mm-hmm.
uh, sorry, 5th of June, the world celebrates the World Environment Day.
Right.
And 5th of June 2018, the host country, as they have, was India, and the theme was Beat Plastic Pollution.
Mm-hmm.
So, my plastic organization was approached for conducting the events and awareness leading up to that World Environment Day. And World Environment Day was the final function. The efforts through the last 4 5 months leading up to that 5th June
That event.
2018 culminated at Vigyan Bhavan, where the
Mm-hmm.
Prime Minister was there as the chief guest, and the United Nations Environment Chief, then Mr. Eric Solomon, was there. And
Mm-hmm.
there, the Prime Minister made an epoch announcement. India will work to phase out or ban single-use plastics. And
Right.
it's not going to happen in a year. He said it will take 4 years. And from 2018 to 20, the government of India and the government of various states, and we have kept our word
Yeah.
that we have phased out single-use plastics.
Yeah.
At that time, my work was seen, and during that time, the Niti Aayog comes up with various policies. So they were framing out what is called as the national recycling policy. And that
Hmm.
was not only for plastics, it was for all the commodities. We have metals, we have plastics, we have textiles, we have oil. So all this, and the CEO of uh, Niti Aayog was Shri Amitabh Kant.
Hmm.
And when this policy was being made, he came, various subgroups of all the different commodities. He came up with a nice name. He said, "Why name this as a national recycling policy? Let us name it as a national resource policy." And
Yeah.
that's where the materials started getting their due. The national resource policy is still not come yet, because in a country like India, the commodities fall under the various ministries. Like plastics is under the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. The
Right.
cars come under the Ministry of
Heavy,
heavy
heavy
vehicle,
industry.
sorry, Ministry of Transport. So we
Hmm.
now see a national vehicle scrap policy. We now see a national e-waste policy. So all the commodities or the ministries are each doing their part, which will lead to the national resource policy one day.
Right.
All the
The
entities
policies will.
or the material but policy will operate under one policy. And
Right.
again, going back a little in history, Goa was the first state that time I remember, where they in 2015 and 18 they had a minister for waste management.
Wow.
So
That's
imagine.
interesting. I mean, I've never heard other states having a minister for waste management.
So that's how they valued their waste. And Goa, as you know, they have a lot of floating population, and
Right.
that's where the
The
waste is
problem also.
also uh,
Absolutely, absolutely. I
and
mean, Dr. Joshi, the kind of information that you just shared about the switch in mindset, that is national recycling policy to national resource policy, that itself is a light bulb moment, because most of us see plastic as a problem, not as a boon, largely because we are only focusing on the problem side of it. We are not focusing on the solution side of it, because every entity, every material is a resource to this country. I think when we start viewing that, we will start appreciating the material, we'll start managing the material better for a better circular economy within India, right? But Dr. Joshi, before I drill you with more deeper questions, let's go back to the basics, because one problem with when we talk about managing plastics is not having a better understanding of one, what plastic is, and what are the different categories of plastics, and what does mixing of this plastic then lead to. So can you maybe throw some light into what plastics mean first and foremost, and what are the different categories of plastics, and how, if I were a layman trying to segregate my own waste at my industry or a factory, what are the maybe the top three things that I should be mindful about? Maybe you could start from there.
when we talk of plastics, we see seven symbols of plastics, triangles, and one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. One is that this is for identification, and that's not for the recycling symbol. So plastics have been broadly been categorized to six or seven common plastics as we see, and that is for recycling. One is polyethylene, that
Hmm.
is the LDP, that is widely the milk bags or the pouches,
Right.
and the carry bags we see. Second one is polypropylene, the
Hmm.
containers. Third one is polyethylene terephthalate, the mineral water bottles.
The PET bottles.
Yes, PET. Fourth one is PVC, that is difficult to recycle. The shoes, the footwear is made from PVC.
The pipes.
Sixth, yes, yes, yes. Uh, and sixth is polystyrene, that is thermocol and that category. We on one side we say thermocol is banned, but on the other side, even if we get an appliance today that is packed in thermocol
Yeah.
for protection. And seventh is the category where other plastics fall, which is multi-layered plastics. The chocolate wrappers and the wafer wrappers, where we see multi-layered, a layer of metal and plastics, specifically in the wafers which we see. So that is called multi-layered plastics. I have something to show you, and that multi-layered plastics is difficult to recycle. I work with a lot of startups. Look at this triangle. This is a triangle. This is a phone stand made from recycled chocolate wrappers. And
Mm.
the startups and technology and research has gone into so much over that the seventh category, that is the multi-layer plastics, which are not easy to recycle. They are made into uh, this such products are used in making roads.
Right.
1 kilometer of road will consume over 500 to 600 kgs of plastics, which are not recyclable. So going back to the question is, the first thing is segregate at source. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the first thing, like the containers, we never usually throw the containers. So keeping them separate and
Mm-hmm.
avoiding plastics which is not easily recyclable. So even in I stay in a building here, and the Pune Municipal Corporation had made it so strict. So when I got some phone from a e-commerce site, it had thermocol there. The
Mm-hmm.
person who comes to collect the waste, she took away the
Thermocol.
no, the cardboard box, the bag,
Uh-huh.
but left thermocol there. You know, I was not aware of that because I was traveling for a long time. I asked her why did it. She said the Pune Municipal Corporation has now said that the thermocol, it is, if don't mix it, and so you take care of that.
Mm.
So that is not going to go in the collection garbage. And I
Right.
had to run from a place to pillar, from pillar to buy rickshaw to a center where they accept thermocol.
Mm.
So one has to first segregate our waste. In India, we are only used to two types of waste.
Wet and dry.
Yes, but new solid waste management rules 2026 from 1st April, that is just 3 days ahead. It is compulsory to segregate waste into 3 or 4 categories. And that's not me, that's not you, that's in government of India. And they, each entity, mind you, be it a common man, a society person, an institute, even the army, then the armed forces, they have to take care of their waste. There is a
Mm-hmm.
concept in those rules of a bulk generator. Any entity that generates 100 kgs of waste, be it dry or wet, it is supposed to manage its own waste.
Mm.
So no organization is above that law.
Right.
And you will say, is the Indian army going to manage its waste or fight? But
Yeah.
that's the important. And I tell you, I work with the Indian Army and I've seen the passion.
Yeah.
And we learn so much from them, and the way they are managing their waste is something amazing. And just I've been working with the Indian Armed Forces for almost a year,
Mm-hmm.
and let me tell you, the present army chief, no one will, this news will not be, seen. It will come somewhere small news. Even after a major battle, after
Yeah.
fourth day, he signed an order that there are 600 military stations in India. I'm not talking about the cantonments, military stations.
Mm-hmm.
They will manage their own waste. Look at the passion of the army
Yeah.
and their dedication.
Yeah. Setting examples.
Yes.
Yeah, setting examples of the highest order is extremely important for this country. I think a lot of organization will then take cue that your garbage, your waste is your headache. You better manage it so that it does not become a problem to the
I like
society.
to interrupt here. I had been to Taiwan, and do you
Uh-huh.
know this? There are these big bins of 200 liters are there. Yeah, I was in the small town, not in Taipei, the capital city, and to my surprise, I've never seen it. I've traveled quite a bit in my work. It was locked.
Okay.
How you lock your door with a lock? That garbage bin was locked. So I was confused. What he said, they don't want that anyone take your garbage or put other garbage in my garbage. That's the passion of that country.
Right.
So that agency will come and collect the garbage, and you should not put garbage in my bin, and I have to take care of my garbage. That's
Yeah.
the
Very
risk.
interesting.
You know,
We had I mean, I had the privilege of talking to a behavioral PhD holder, behavioral science, and we had the same discussion with him as well. That is, what is that? Because today solutions are available. Everybody knows that throwing plastics in the wrong place is a wrong thing to do. But even then, you continue doing it. So what is what is the reason behind? And we have kind of dive deep into the the thought process, the behavioral patterns that exists here. And now that that you brought it out, it is significantly important that we work on both direction. One, from the top down approach, where the policies are made, where it is mandated for larger organizations to handle their own waste. But at the same time, we need a bottom up approach as well, where the local population is educated on, one, what are the different categories of waste, how to segregate it, and why it is important that you manage your own waste, right? So great, Dr. Joshi. I think
one more. Let me,
yeah, please do,
we
please do.
talk about recycling. And
Uh-huh.
there are the areas are reduce, reuse, recycle. I learned, this is not my invention, that word. Someone told me
Mm-hmm.
before talking of the reuse, reduce, recycle. He gave me a simple example. We go to marriages and have this buffets and take so much on the plate and leave at least one third of it.
Mm-hmm.
So one moment that food is food, and next moment it becomes waste.
Waste.
So he's told me a very nice word. Let us first learn to respect our waste.
Absolutely.
Not create waste, or learn to respect. Even if we said reduce, or meaning first respect our waste, respect it, give it, we will try to reduce it and then use the further hours.
Absolutely. I think when we start viewing value in the waste, perhaps we will start managing it better. Perhaps that is the direction in which these policies are heading, and all these different credit systems are coming into play. We'll definitely try touching upon them if time allows for. But just to add to that, I had my marriage recently in the month of December last year, and we did it zero waste even.
Oh, wow.
So that was one such event that we put our hearts and mind into it, so that the aesthetically and when it comes to the fun element, because marriages in India are seen as fun event, so we do not want to compromise on the fun part of it. But what we realize is this, that you can continue having all those things that you intend to have, all the fun, aesthetics, everything can be managed well. And at the same time, you can be mindful about the choices that you could make, right from the choice of cutleries, to the menu that you set, to the kind of materials that you choose to decorate your venue, everything there. And with the right partner, we partner with the local organization within that venue, who picked up the waste. First, we had a dedicated person, so that they can guide the guests to segregate it in the right manner, one, and then pick it up as soon as the event is ended, and post that also issue a certificate stating that this. So there is a an sort of certificate that is issued. There is a monitoring, there is a credibility to the entire process that happens. But thank you, Dr. Joshi, that you brought
I would
also
like
through
to
some. Yeah.
interrupt here and tell you, about what we did. I'm part of what is called as the Plastic India Foundation, the apex body of all plastic associations. And just recently, from 5 to 10 February, in Bharat Mandapam, that is Pragati Maidan, we organized Plastic India International Exhibition. That was the world's second largest plastic exhibition in the world,
Wow.
covering the entire length and breadth of Pragati Maidan, 8 lakh square feet.
Oh,
And it was the world's first zero waste plastic exhibition.
plastic exhibition.
And a zero waste exhibition.
Wow. So
Like
everything would have been picked, monitored, recycled wherever necessary, or composted wherever possible.
in and
Right.
that was and ITPO admired that. And after that, if you remember, there was the AI exhibition.
In
and
Delhi.
they took our help to make that also, almost a zero waste event. So ITPO is setting up standards that it is very easy to set up exhibitions, but you take care of your waste. And during
Absolutely.
that 5 days, around more than 600 tons of waste was managed.
Okay, 600 tons.
Yes,
Yeah.
of all waste, food waste, and that was in the world's first zero waste plastic event
Event.
at a scale where there were more than 5 lakh footfalls,
Mm-hmm.
1,000 plus exhibitors from 80 countries.
Yeah, and an 8 lakh square feet of utilized area. Wow,
Yeah.
wow. I mean, examples like this, I think, lead to more events taking up this kind of initiatives. But really really great. But again, from your vantage point, Dr. Joshi, what are the three biggest misconceptions businesses and policy makers have about plastics and plastic waste in India?
First, the most important thing is this is not my problem.
Mm,
Waste is not my problem. Accepting that waste is my problem. Second thing
mhm,
is not segregating it. And third
mhm.
one is, what you did, Roshan, in your marriage, accepting the fact that it is your problem and channelizing it and making it to be managed properly. So these are the three things, and one has to the classic example is when we go out of a country, we put our waste in our pockets.
Right. The
Being
same people in
responsible,
this land, yeah.
being responsible for our own waste. Second one is segregating, and the Prime Minister started the Swachh Bharat mission in 2014.
Hmm.
And we have the best of technology, everything, but the simple philosophy of mere 10 kadam, if I can keep my 10 feet of space clean,
Clean.
it will make a clean India. So as far as for us to, as a common citizen, as an industry person, we one first has have to ensure that the wet and dry waste is separate. The plastic is not soiled. You everyone hears that famous word, "Guy ne plastic khaya."
Hmm.
The cow ate the plastic. The cow is not in love with the plastic. The cow wants to eat the food in the plastic.
Yeah.
So let us not put food in the plastic and throw it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, meaning littering, we have all the laws for banning or fining, but we don't have anti-littering laws.
True that. True that. I think the heavier, heftier fines would be one way of handling it. I mean, we had the same conversation with the Dr. Shem, the guy that I just mentioned about, and I asked him the same question that same people in a different country in a different setup act differently, but when they come back to their own country, they act differently. What is the reason? One. The second question I had as a follow up is again at the same location, if you have a camera just or and a board put up, you're being monitored here or something like that, you don't litter. So what has changed? And it is very interesting when he went into the psychology behind all of this. And it was I mean, of course, we all know it is a wrong thing to do, but yet we continue doing it. But I mean, the point that you just made, the three misconceptions. One, that not seeing waste as your own problem. I think accountability is one clear misconception here. Two is the knowledge on segregation. I think that is also something that so that we both agree upon. And the third, according to me, is also the policymakers have to shift this mindset. I think you already bought that from national policy on recycling to national policy on resource, national resource policy. That is, start viewing waste as value. Where if you start viewing value in everything that you do. I mean, one uh, you know kind of system that when I was in Sweden, you used to get this tin cans that beer bottles or anything, and you would have this machine where you put that back, you get a maybe a krona or a euro back and things like that. So where the consumer sees value in the waste while giving it back, they get something for exchange, and this is where EPR also comes into play, the extended producer responsibility, and this is exactly my next question to you. So the the government's EPR or extended producer responsibility rules are now in effect for plastics and some other materials as well. So, how are companies adopting to EPR, and is creating a new business model? Is it creating new business models in collection or recycling, Dr. Joshi?
EPR is the rule of the land, and the latest development is all other commodities, not only plastics, e-waste, oil, textiles, they are being bought under. There are some of the commodities are already under the EPR uh,
Mm-hmm.
framework, but they are being brought under a common EPR portal. So it is
Mm-hmm.
not going to be that just wish away. I'm going to give you a simple example of how the mandate for EPR is becoming accountable.
Mm-hmm.
You know about the plastic packaging. So one of my friends, he imports machinery, and he just his packaging is in that plastic packaging only 2 kgs in a year, 2 kgs.
Mm-hmm.
And the mandate said that you have to register on the portal.
Wow, just a 2 kgs.
And his consignment was stopped at the port of entry, the seaport,
Mm-hmm.
because he is consuming 2 kgs. So the government said, we don't want you to, have file records and all that, but you declare that you are using 2 kgs of plastics so that an accountability will be made that you are consuming 2 kgs and that you will not litter.
Hmm.
So in the age of digitization, and when I said the new EPR portal is being in place, no one is
Mm-hmm.
going to escape that. We say this, you gave an example of Sweden. There, a lot of things are voluntary, policies are there. Extended producers responsibility. I said it's environmental protection responsibility. We have to do it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
when in the policy there are two, incentivize or fine.
yeah,
Fines
the
are
carrot
not
and the
going
stick.
to be the way. So, but the EPR policy, to give a brief background of this, the EPR policy, as I mentioned, Taiwan is there since the last 30, 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And in Germany since 1990s. But the EPR policy in India is 2016,
Yeah,
just 10 years. And
10
we have
years
come
old.
a long way. And everybody is going to be responsible. And as I said, that 2 kg consumer, he also had to register. At
Yeah,
least the government is trying to put in place who are consuming.
absolutely.
He need not file a return, but at
Yeah.
least the accountability is coming. And so this EPR thing is cumbersome for some. So the plastic industry has been able to keep the micro and the MSME sector out. It doesn't mean that they are escaped, but the end user company, they will file the return or file the
The
quantities
consumption.
of consumption. So
Absolutely.
this, like the GST portal, this EPR portal will be strong, and we will also see trading of materials here. So it is going to
Mm-hmm.
be a end-to-end solution for managing the waste of the commodities in India.
Very interesting.
And
Uh,
let me tell you, I work internationally. The EPR policies of India are among the best in the world, where a lot of care has been taken in framing the policy, and it is not so easy to implement. And my favorite words, learning, unlearning, relearning. The government listens. If there is
hmm.
something, they listen. They give an ear to it and modify it accordingly.
Yeah, that's also very humbling in a way, because India has started a CPR journey very recently, 10-year old, while the rest of the countries that we cite examples of, they have started their journey much before. So there is always that trajectory, that learning curve that all these countries take, and India is perhaps doing it in a much faster rate. And also, we host 20% of the global population, so there is much more work to be done in the direction. But of course, when the monitoring and accountability factors are taken into consideration, it is only a matter of time when there's a system built, and the system will then play out in the coming years. But it is fascinating to learn that example of 2 kgs. You're now held accountable for your imports, where you have to disclose this numbers, and you'll eventually be held accountable for all the materials that you handle through your business. Let me ask you one other question. So if you had to map the plastic pollution problem in India as a flow diagram, where do you see the biggest points of failure are? Is it in the design phase? Is it in the collection phase or segregation phase? Or is it in the recycling technology, financing, or governance, or all of the above?
Comes back to my thesis, role of
Mm-hmm.
stakeholders in waste management. To
Mm-hmm.
give you answer, in India, we did not have recycling standards. The
Mm-hmm.
Bureau of Indian Standards are now putting in place standards for recycling. Design
Right.
for recycling is a new concept.
Mm-hmm.
To tell you, we see water bottles sold by
Right.
various brands. Earlier there was no uniformity in designing the bottle, but now there are standards for designing the bottle. And
Yeah.
in some foreign countries, and there is going to be what India is also going to follow is labeling.
Right.
The labels also have to be recycled and they are from plastics. So the government is necessarily make the label. So there are materials, as I said, PVC and PP. PVC is not easily recyclable. Up till now, the labels used to be made of PVC, which were not easy to recycle.
Right.
So government is mandating use the materials
Same material.
which might be a little costly, but they are recyclable. And something new, now I saw a bottle and that has come in India also, which doesn't have any label.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, you
that's
can etch it.
easy to recycle because there is no ink. When you also have ink, there is issue that ink may leak or may create some chemical impurities. So
Right.
the design phase is there. But the biggest problem today in India is, the technologies are there at the end where the machines are there. The
Mm-hmm.
segregation of material at source, the availability of good materials because of the supply chain, that
Mm-hmm.
is not happening, and that is the biggest stumbling block. If you want to have a good quality recycled material, it has to
Mm-hmm.
be beginning at the home where you segregate it properly. Don't mix that. When you and me were young, in 8 to 10 years, you remember our mothers used to wash the plastic milk bag and put it there for drying. You remember
Yeah.
that? Your
Yeah.
childhood?
Mm-hmm.
Today, no one has the time to do that. We just throw that back. But that milk bag, do you know it is made out of 7 layers of plastics and it is easily
Yes.
recyclable? But if it is contaminated with that milk, it is not
Yes.
easy to wash and it will create problems. So we are learning, and one has to remember that it begins with you and me, where we segregate the plastics properly, not keep it wet, hand it over properly. So the supply chain is established. The government is setting up the standards. Design for recycling is a concept. When this
Mm-hmm.
supply chain is going to be in place, our problems will be resolved. And I did not mention this. The EPR mandate says that there will be compulsory use of recycled content, where over years 30%, 50%, 70% of the plastics has to be recycled into your non-food contact applications. Today we have a mandate where the government has done an epoch making far reaching policy and a mandate that 100% recycled PET material can be used for food contact applications. But
Right.
for that to happen, you need to have a good quality source of material. And today, even though the policy is announced, 1 year has passed, we have not been able to reach that standards
Yeah.
because of the good quality availability of plastics for that. The
Right.
PET good quality is not available.
Right. So maintaining the hygiene, the maintaining of the segregated waste is extremely crucial for high
Absolutely.
quality
Absolutely.
recycling. So
Absolutely.
mixing of materials will lead to a lower quality recycled product produce, which will further devalue the entire material value that is present in there. Dr. Joshi, I want to ask you a question. Would you be okay for us to take the part two and then record it sometime else, because I've drilled you for the last 1 hour or so, and I
I
know
thought I was just started enjoying this.
yeah, I know that. I know that. So, I mean, I understand that this podcast can go for long. So, here is a request that I'm making. I know we can further continue this, but if we can we do it maybe the part two recording separately, maybe sometime
Yes,
next week.
it's a pleasure. It's a
Does it work
pleasure.
for you?
Let's do it on a Sunday so that
Sure.
it goes in uninterrupted.
Sure. Because what we have covered so far is a problem part of it, and somewhere near the EPR, the policies that is there.
And I would
So
like
what
to talk about more of startups and what they are doing in this wonderful ecosystem.
ecosystem, absolutely. So that is the third subtopic that we had for today. The solution, the startup, the ecosystem that is there, and also the Vikasit Bharat thing. So we'll record it as a part two. So I'll just give a quick sort of a closure to this podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Dr. Samir Joshi. So, today in today's podcast, we have recorded the problem around plastics and the likely policies that are today being developed and drafted to solve the issue of not plastic but rather plastic management. So, in the next episode, we will cover the solution side of things, the opportunities that is out there for businesses, startups, and somebody who's willing to be a part of the solution in this entire ecosystem. And we'll also look at how this leads to Vikasit Bharat 2047. What are the likely milestones the country needs to see if we are to reach that point 100 years after independence. So, Dr. Joshi, thank you so much for your time. It was an absolute pleasure having this conversation with you, with the kind of experiences that you have had with your career, starting in the 1990s until today, and you have a PhD, and you're still so passionate about this topic. I'm pretty sure that the next episode that we're going to record will be even more power packed. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Roshan. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, for those of you who would like to get in touch with Dr. Joshi, we will drop his LinkedIn link on the on in the description, and we will also drop the link to Carbon Mandal in case you're willing to reach out to us. So that is the Carbon Circle for today. We will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much.